What happened to
An
Site 13, an SCP
1730 summary? The phrase "for the greater good" often justifies questionable actions, and the SCP Foundation, while largely operating on this principle, was profoundly and terribly wrong in the case of SCP-1730. SCP-1730 is a lengthy and detailed report documenting the events surrounding Site-13. This video will summarize the key events and details of SCP-1730, which ultimately asks and answers the question of what exactly happened to Site-13 discovery and initial exploration. SCP-1730 is a large complex of structures identified as the SCP Foundation's Site-13. However, official Foundation records indicate that plans for Site-13 were scrapped, despite being originally intended for construction in Alaska. The site itself, strangely located in Texas, appears long abandoned and is in severe disrepair, with fuel leaks and fires caused by a damaged power generator. Despite the hazardous conditions, messages like "danger," "bleed," and "what happened" to Site-13 found on the walls suggest human survivors in the lower levels. The Foundation established a containment procedure due to the site's remote location, but decided to send in exploration teams. First major discoveries and hazards recovered. Log from an earlier Site-13 recovery team provides the first major piece of information. This log describes an anomaly crawling into a team member's mouth, causing blood to leak from every orifice. Subsequently, two anomalies emerged, one drinking the blood and the other reanimating the dead body. The remaining team members put down their reanimated comrade, but the log writer mentioned it was just a matter of time before it starts, with a significant section expunged due to being a cognitohazard. This cognitohazard was later illegible after the team used C4 explosives, but not before another team member, Jones, went silent and was shoved down an elevator shaft. The log also mentioned someone starting the Thresher, a device we'll learn about later. An automated message sent minutes before an electrical disturbance and power relay explosion showed nearly all systems at Site-13 were offline or compromised, including Keter-class containment systems with Euclid containment and the reactor in critical status. The Mudslingers and Gulliver's Travelers, the first Foundation exploration. Team MTF D12 Mudslingers, 6 members, entered through unlocked front doors. They immediately found ominous messages including "Don't look at the walls." They descended to the 3rd basement level via a powered service elevator, where they found rooms covered in a metallic-smelling sludge. They discovered makeshift barricades and bodies half submerged in the sludge, from one of which a snake-like creature emerged. They terminated the creature and found the bodies were hollow. The team then realized the floor layout had changed, suggesting hallucinations or physical alterations to the building. Further exploration led them down a hallway longer than schematics indicated, into an office where they found a naked human with fire burning from its ears. Site Command received intense white light, searing meat sounds and static, followed by slithering, a cry, and choking sounds. Other strange sounds were heard until the two separated team members responded, claiming their radios stopped working. Their camera feeds then showed them in a different room, hanging upside down, completely stark white, with blood covering their faces. A large object moved in the background, accompanied by slithering from multiple directions. When one of them opened their eyes, the video and audio feeds cut out, marking the last contact with the Mudslingers. Due to the dangers, the Foundation sent MTF-Y24 Gulliver's Travelers, 3 members, to the power station to assess damage. They found locked bulletproof doors which were opened using Director Jameson's clearance code from when the site was planned to be built. Examination of the power cores revealed 7 of 12 were beyond repair, 3 weren't at full power, and one of the 2 functional ones was superheated. They found more of the sludge and 10 stark white bodies bound to the superheated core, with What happened to Site-13, written in blood beneath them? As they descended a stairwell, their camera feeds distorted, audio cut out, and intermittent. Communications mentioned encountering more sludge-covered bodies. Contact was lost after they seemingly encountered an alive individual. The recovered sludge was later identified as blood, power core residue, and unknown biological matter. A week later, a 13-second video feed showed humans looking down at a table. Drone exploration and retrieved files. An unmanned drone was sent to investigate the lower floors of the main complex. After a power failure on the 7th floor, the drone forced open the elevator doors and manually descended to the 8th basement, a Euclid containment wing. It encountered a vaguely humanoid entity marking a wall with sludge, creating cognitohazards that the drone photographed. The entity left no footprints. The drone found a cell with a sludge-covered human emanating sparks labeled Entity 324, scheduled for termination in December 1975. Another cell contained a dead female, Dr. Jack Bright, a notable immortal in the SCP universe. The drone then found a working computer terminal running an older SCP Foundation OS and began transmitting files before losing contact. The previously viewed cognitohazard then triggered, causing affected individuals at Site Command to go silent and burn from their ears, followed by silent explosions that destroyed communication equipment. The drone finished transmitting files, but was never recovered. The transmitted files revealed critical information. Engineer to Dr. Hadley. An engineer warned Dr. Hadley, a chief biologist, that while reactors could surge to power the Thresher device, they might not survive. The engineer stated the device was unstable and its use would destabilize local reality. Ethics Committee member to Dr. Hadley. An individual from both the SCP Foundation's Ethics Committee and the Global Occult Coalition's Ethics Board informed Dr. Hadley she couldn't transfer out of Site-13. Hadley had issues with the director and the protocol of terminating humanoid SCPs, but was told these anomalies weren't considered human and lacked human rights. Test log. This log showed reality benders dying when exposed to extreme conditions while wearing inhibitor devices, except for water submersion, which interfered with the device. The test administrator was identified by a number, not a name, which was unusual for the Foundation. Engineer message. An engineer discussed a toxic waste buildup in a pit beneath the reactors, which was supposed to be piped off-site, but kept accumulating, posing a serious issue. Director Emerson's note. Director Emerson ordered the electrocution and incineration of the entire humanoid wing, a process seemingly causing the waste build-up. Engineer to Dr. Hadley. An engineer altered termination. Records for a leech boy taken to the pit, stating he wouldn't go anywhere due to the blocked output. Dr. Hadley to Director Emerson. Hadley's message revealed she caused a containment breach. She chastised Emerson for thinking killing anomalous entities would stop them, as their living state was the least anomalous thing about them. She spoke of Elijah, a young boy who subsisted on blood through skin, who was incinerated despite being mentally a toddler and not choosing his condition. The incineration didn't kill Elijah. His interaction with the bloody sludge caused a highly anomalous process where dead SCPs returned. Additionally, the Thresher device was activated, heavily distorting the site's local reality. The mole rats and further horrors, the Foundation sent MTF-Z9 Mole Rats, a 5-man team experienced in exploring anomalous locations, to gain a more complete understanding of the facility. Equipped with helmets to filter out cognitohazards, they entered the main structure and descended to the 6th basement. One member, Z94, was injured when the floor collapsed. Z94 heard slithering, and another member, Z93, saw a leech-like creature enter Z94's mouth. Z93 shot Z94 to end his misery after a choking plea, and the floor further collapsed, crushing Z93. 5 minutes later, a leech creature emerged from Z94's mouth, and he stood up, picking up his dead teammate's weapon. Communication from the mole rats was lost for 3 hours, then resumed with 3 members seemingly below the 15th floor. Z94's camera feed briefly showed humans with flames from their ears and a massive pit with a large creature covered in smaller ones. After another 4-hour communication loss, the captain's feed resumed. She had reached the thresher device, but her light went out. She heard footsteps, and communication was lost again. The rescue mission, Apollo 3 and Samsara. Due to the extreme danger, the Foundation was ready to end research on SCP-1730. However, a looped transmission from a Site-13 doctor claiming 12 survivors prompted a rescue. Mission: MTF Apollo 3 Game Wardens, 5 members, entered using coordinates from the doctor. They descended a stairwell which abruptly cut off into a liquid void 15 meters below where it should have ended. As the liquid rose, one member's legs were enveloped. After pulling him out, his legs were cleanly severed at the knees, yet he could still feel and stand on them, appearing to float. They encountered a rotting corpse they believed to be Zachary, unaware it was dead, due to SCP-1500's anomalous effects bypassing their cognito-hazard filters. After their visors were updated, they realized it was just a body. They then encountered a shimmering humanoid entity that warped the environment. One member was caught in its field, hanging and twisting. Bullets spun around the entity, but a miniature reality anchor dispersed it. The caught member was presumably dead, partially fused with the wall, ceiling, and floor. The team continued, deeming leaving too risky, and entered a communications room. A screen showed a containment cell with SCP-993 Bobble the Clown. The figure claimed to be a thing that used to be Bobble, and that Director Emerson played with the strings of the universe and broke them. It stated that anomalous entities from the Foundation and GOC were brought to Site-13 to be fed to a meat grinder unless something could be gained first. The disfigured figure expressed extreme animosity towards Emerson. Site Command lost contact for 30 minutes, during which the team found the survivors, 20-plus individuals, including Mole Rats and Gulliver's Travelers members. The team revealed they had been there for 3 days, not 30 minutes, and were surrounded by anomalous entities with little chance of survival. This led to the deployment of Mobile Task Force Tau-5, Samsara. Samsara are cloned cyborgs made from a dead god possessing regenerative abilities, technological augmentations, and functional immortality through memory loading. Though not omnipotent, they had the best chance of success. The 4-member Samsara team was heavily augmented with incendiary cannons, shock-absorbing leg extensions, heat-resistant plating, and eye filters. They entered through a drainage pipe and split, with 2 going towards a heat source and 2 breaking into offices. They found the incinerator control room, activated the machinery, and jumped down into a cistern after shooting out the window. Small leeches poured from wall cracks, feeding on sludge and growing. One member realized a huge host was beneath them. Believing the leeches were telepathic, they hijacked a leech's brain to create a distorted map of the continually changing facility. They deduced the survivor's location and took the fastest path, despite it being an area where leeches were unusually quiet. They climbed out of the cistern, entered a largely destroyed stairwell, and dropped down to a server room using their leg implants. The room was cooled to 20 Celsius by a cryonics chamber, and no sound was audible. Their cognito-hazard filters triggered as they moved through the room. They saw a massive humanoid entity with 6 legs, 18 arms, 36 4 arms and 72 hands, its limbs making constant gestures believed to cause the silence. Where its head should be was an emaciated, charred human figure bound to its chest, screaming silently. The word Emerson was seared into the human's flesh. The team quickly moved on as the entity was hazardous to look at. The whining sound grew louder, so they detonated a proximity mine and rushed through a door, dodging white-hot glyphs. One member lost an arm, but they fled, and sound resumed. Extraction and final confrontation. They found the survivors, with one mole rat calling. Samsara, the Power Rangers. Leeches began emerging, changing the mission to rescue. The extraction began with 11 MTF members and 27 injured Site-13 staff. Their plan was to reach the Thresher device, reduce its power for a stable route to the surface, and avoid destroying it, which would cause drastic problems. Samsara led the group, killing leeches. They were attacked by the floating humanoid entity seen by the drone, which they put down with bullets and incendiary rounds. The floor beneath the entity collapsed, revealing a long, slick, many-eyed creature. With a mouth full of pointy teeth, it devoured the humanoid's corpse, and leeches propelled towards the group. 2 Samsara members provided cover fire as the rest retreated. In a hallway, they encountered a cloud of crystal butterflies, SCP-5553. The Samsara captain engaged them with his flamethrower, severely scorching his flesh. They found a locked door to the Thresher wing, which mysteriously unlocked, and the Bobble the Clown figure appeared on a monitor, laughing. Inside the room, they found the Thresher device surrounded by hundreds of small flying creatures. A wall collapsed, and the many-eyed creature entered. The small creatures attacked the large entity, which devoured them with tentacles. While manipulating the Thresher device, another section of floor collapsed, revealing another tentacled entity. MTF members battled the entities, one dying, as the device was manipulated. They forced the entities to flee and killed the remaining small creatures. The facility rumbled, and loud screeching accompanied mechanical sounds. With the Thresher device at low power and local reality stabilized, the team began their final ascent. They encountered SCP-2316, a powerful cognitohazard appearing as bodies in water that people believe they recognize. Samsara kept the group moving, and they entered a large garage, encountering a massive mechanical construct seemingly controlled by SCP-1370, who tried to intimidate them. A Samsara member easily destroyed the small robot controlling the construct, and they reunited with the other 2 Samsara members. A crashing sound below them caused the floor to buckle, and they fled, losing a researcher. At the bottom of the hole was a tremendous black mass covered in red eyes, with other large black masses extending from it, presumably Elijah, the Leech Boy. Chased by black tendrils, they found themselves trapped without a way to ascend. One of the mole rats led them further down into a massive containment chamber. Civilians were sent to an access point leading to the power station and out, while MTFs covered them. A huge wall broke down, and the 200-meter-tall Leech Boy entered, with a naked human woman visibly joined to its tongue. It screamed as the MTFs unleashed everything they had. Some members opened 2 massive containment doors, unleashing SCP-001. The Gate Guardian, a winged figure with a fiery sword, and SCP-2845, a deer-like entity with an ice and metal ring around its head. The Gate Guardian could obliterate with its sword, and the deer could instantly transmute and reconstruct matter. The 3 entities began an unimaginable battle as the MTFs fled towards the civilians. Metallic cylinders crashed through the stairway, killing the Samsara captain. The Mole Rat's leader stayed behind with a Samsara member to buy time. They returned to the Thresher device, turning it to full power, as the mole rat's captain hysterically fired her weapon at the leech boy. Above ground, a deafening crackling sound was heard. The area around the facility distorted, and Site-13 vanished, leaving an immense crater. SCP-1730 was marked as neutralized. Debriefing and the true story of Site-13 in the debriefing, a game. Warden member was traumatized while the Samsara captain considered the mission a success, though mournful of the mole rat's leader. The game warden member, who lost his legs, still felt them, occasionally feeling something wet and furry brushing past them. The Samsara member, who stayed behind with the mole rat's captain, revealed they disabled their cameras in a server room. After a cognito-hazardous vision, they saw a precipice overlooking screaming, handless humans under a burning sky, with a falling star scorching billions of corpses and the many-armed entity in its center. They were shown visions of fire coils, soul storms, a hole at the universe's center, and a nightmare god. The Samsara member looked away, but the mole rat's captain kept watching, then activated the Thresher device, laughing and crying, saying she needed to bury the things she saw in darkness. Finally, Dr. Scott, Assistant Director of Temporal Studies at Site-13, provided the history of the site from his alternate reality. Site-13 was planned after the Foundation recovered a massive, uncontainable Dead Sea creature, making it larger than any facility at the time, built in Alaska. After a terrorist attack cut U.S. government funding, Paul Manafort, former president, Dolstaffer became Secretary General of the Global Occult Coalition, leading to a partnership. The GOC gained control of the Foundation, and funding resumed from the US and UN. Site-13 became the Foundation's premier containment facility and was constantly expanded. Director Emerson took over and began terrible actions, supposedly under Manafort's orders. The incinerator, originally for the sea creature, was used for everything, including invasive testing on anomalous creatures and humanoids. Vivisections began, and when the Ethics Committee tried to intervene, their chairman was shot as a traitor. The phrase "for the greater good" was constantly used. Scott claimed they even contained the Abrahamic God, possibly SCP-343. Dr. Hadley opposed Emerson and was beaten, leading her to cause the containment breach. Emerson asked Scott to activate the experimental Thresher device to stop it, but Scott refused and fled. Before they could leave, the device was activated, warping reality. Scott considered himself lucky to survive, believing they could have been floating between dimensions for 1,000 years. Now that the device was reactivated, its destination was unknown. Why SCP-1730 is memorable? SCP-1730 is memorable not just for its length, but because it presents a fascinating tale of the Foundation going too far, largely due to the Global Occult Coalition's influence. The story draws parallels to real-world atrocities committed in the name of research, like Unit 731, making the scenario believable even in an anomalous universe. D. Cactus, the author, transformed a familiar concept, a strange, shifting location, into something unique by incorporating a compelling backstory, numerous other SCPs, and an engaging rescue mission starring the Samsara team. Regarding content, duplication. While you are summarizing existing content, the SCP-1730 article, producing a video based on a detailed summary like this is generally considered transformative. You are taking a written work and creating a new derivative work in a different medium, video, with your own presentation and commentary. This is different from directly copying and pasting text from an existing video. To further minimize concerns about content duplication from other videos, focus on your unique narration style. Your voice, tone, and delivery will make it distinct. Visuals. If you use visuals, make them unique, e.g., custom animations, original artwork, or carefully selected public domain licensed images. Avoid directly reusing visuals from other SCP videos. Your own commentary and emphasis. Even though this summary is comprehensive, how you explain it, what you emphasize, and any personal interpretations you add will make it your own. Structure and pacing. While this summary follows the article's progression, you can adjust the flow, add pauses, or change the pacing to suit your video style. By focusing on these aspects, you can create a unique and valuable video based on this rich source material.